go. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Going back a little bit. Motion to resume the public session. Motion, please. Dr. Richards and Ms. Coffey, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. We are in public session. Moving on to GC Pride Awards.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mrs. D'Amelio. I'm the building principal here at Walt Disney, and Mrs. Messino, our assistant principal, is also here. So I'm very excited because we have 5 students that we are recognizing tonight for GC Pride. And so the first student, I'm going to move him to last because he's not here yet. So I'm hoping that while we're doing the presentation, oh, beautiful, there we go. Look at that. It's like magic. So the first student, I'm going to have Miss Pika, our school counselor, come up because she has nominated this student, and I want her to read it. And we're going to ask Chloe to please stand so you can get a good look at who she is.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm giving this award to Chloe, and I nominated her because Chloe is a leader who consistently exemplifies the Spartan way. Her hard work and participation in all academic areas does not go unnoticed. Her understanding of responsibility and compassion is beyond her years, making her a role model among her peers.
I want the board to be the
You want them to stand here? Okay. Chloe, do you want to stand right here and we'll get the rest of your friends up here with you? You don't mind being first, do you? No. See?
Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Nehemiah Blair to stand. So Nehemiah. Okay, there you go. So, Ms. Lauder, would you like to go ahead and introduce him?
Hi, my name is Miss Larder, and I nominated Nehemiah, so I'm just going to read a little bit that I wrote about him. I would describe Nehemiah as a thoughtful observer of people. Whenever someone needs help, Nehemiah notices right away and will quietly step in. On the first day of library this year, I told the group I had spent part of the summer rearranging the books on the shelves so the library would be ready for them when the school year started. Before that class was over, Nehemiah had written me an incredibly kind note just to thank me for making the library look so nice. Nehemiah also pays attention to anyone in the class who might be left out and will seek them out to work with them. Nehemiah's thoughtfulness and empathy for others made me so happy to have him in our school community and so proud to nominate him for the GC Pride Award.
Next, I would like to invite Vincent to please stand. So Vincent was nominated by his teacher, Mrs. Regina Maxey. So Vincent comes in each day with a smile and works very hard every day. He shows his Disney pride each day by being kind to all his friends and teachers. He's always willing to help a friend in need. Congratulations, Vincent. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to recognize Willow, and I'm going to ask Miss He could come back up.
All right, so I nominated Miss Willow Norton, who is a second grader in Mrs. McMillan's class. Willow, your kind personality and smile beam throughout the building. Your kindness and empathy towards others is exemplary. You always put your best effort forward and you take pride in your work. You are a role model for responsibility and compassion among your peers. Congratulations.
And finally, I'd like to recognize Travis. So Travis was also nominated by Mrs. Maxey, his first grade teacher. Travis is always on the hunt for a friend to help. He is the first friend to greet me each morning and always say, "Good morning, Mrs. Maxey." I am amazed at his willingness to do his best, even when the task seems a bit tricky. I am proud of how he works extra hard in each academic area. Congratulations, Travis.
Thanks, Nehemiah. So I'll let you guys take some pictures.
Hold up your paper.
Hold up those awards.
There you go. So we're just asking all your friends and your family if you could join Miss Eva. She's going to take some more pictures out in the hallway with you.
All right, congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations.
Dr. Ball, the microphone's on.
Superintendent Daly, do we have agenda changes this
Yes, we
evening?
do, sir, to personnel.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Moving on to board president comments. Good evening, everyone. It's thinned out a bit. We had more people here. It was really great to see them. I don't know if you noticed, but Vincent, you could tell he was smiling behind that mask every moment, which I thought was amazing. I wanted to recognize that this month is Autism Awareness Month, and I would like to give a special thanks to Jason Pidong and his team for helping lean in and listen to the community and their concerns about how we work with students with autism. Thank you very much. And also to the broader staff as well for their sensitivity and awareness for our students with autism. So I want to thank you. And in general, it's kind of ratty out there tonight, but I do want to say that I am still amazed at what our staff does to support our students, fair weather and not so fair weather. And given the challenges we still have with COVID and what's going on and the extra help that some of our students may need because they're adjusting to having people around them every day, I just wanted to say thank you again to the staff for helping out and leaning in with that extra help. With that, I'd like to end board president comments for this evening and move on to points of interest. Points of interest. Do we have any? Ms. Geis?
I have two. I attended the middle school 7th, 8th grade social last Friday. Lots of fun. It was so nice to see all those kids back in the middle school having their social fun times like they did previously. It was just nice to see. A great turnout. Lots of chaperones there too to help, which was great. I also attended the Florence Brasser Apple Dumpling Festival, which was another positive return of feedback in the schools. And again, a day kind of like today, it rained, it was pretty good, but there was a nice turnout from that as well.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Ms. Coffey?
We also attended the Apple Dumpling Festival, so it was a great time to see how many teachers and staff and kids were all there. Also, I had the chance to participate in the middle school school improvement team for the first time, so that was a great experience to get to be part of.
Thank you very much. Any other points of interest? Okay, moving on. Reports of meetings. Ms. Geis?
We attended the Monroe County School Board Association Information Exchange Committee meeting a week and a half ago, and it was presented by Vivona. Very powerful presentation. They are doing great work. Lots of good points of interest to take away from there. When I get the PowerPoint presentation, I'm happy to forward it along.
Yes, please share it with the board. Thank you. Other reports of meetings? None? Moving on to visitor comments. Before we begin, I'd like to point out the Gates Charlie Central School District Board of Education invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comment to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments and utilize the podium microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. Jessica Milan.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Milan. My address is 355 Falmore Way, Rochester, New York, 14612. I didn't ask to be an advocate. I didn't ask to be an expert in dyslexia. I didn't ask to be the one who can't stop talking about how the science of reading serves all and harms none. I didn't ask to be perceived as hostile, difficult, or all the ways in which I'm dismissed. I have a smart child who wasn't learning to read. The experts in the school system didn't know how to help, and I'm a mother that refused to give up. So I am all those things I didn't ask to be because he needs me to be. Because all children like him need me to be. So this work has become my life's purpose. As board members, you are all most likely not experts on literacy and probably have very little knowledge on how reading should be taught. I think it's important to note you bring awareness to autism. 1 in 54 children have autism. 1 in 5 have dyslexia. You lean on the administrators of the Gates Child School System to be the experts. But with respect, I'm here to share that the leaders you're depending on know very little about how our brains learn to read. Reading is the most studied aspect of human learning. Thousands of studies make up what is termed the science of reading. For kids, reading is a code that needs to be cracked based on systematic instruction, hitting all the 5 pillars of reading. For kids, virtually all kids can learn to read if taught properly, but the data shows more than 6 out of 10 4th graders in the U.S. are not proficient readers. Improper reading instruction is a systemic problem within our education system. Districts and teacher preparation programs have ignored the most relevant scientific studies on reading instruction because changes in policy and instructional techniques require a significant investment of both time and money. Your board has set 2 goals for this school year: to improve communication between the district and the community and to enhance student learning. Tonight, I'm representing the community, and literacy is the foundation to enhancing student learning. If our school is not focused on making literate adults, what are they focused on? I have 3 asks of you. Number 1, educate yourself about this topic. You must understand the problem in order to participate in the solution. Number 2, evaluate the literacy data being collected within our schools, as the numbers tell the story that change must occur. Number 3, consider using some of the millions of dollars the district has received in federal funding to provide professional development for both teachers and administrators. The gold standard is letters. Literacy within our schools is a silent and unequal education crisis. Reading proficiently and expressing ideas in written form are the core components of a child's education. When we fail to provide basic reading skills to over 40% of our children, we are failing at our mission to educate. We all must come together for our kids. As parents, we are ready to collaborate, but we need you as board members, as school administrators, and as teachers to please join us. The kids need this. With October being Dyslexia Awareness Month, just join me for 1 second in the silence for all those smart kids that continue to struggle in our schools because they're not being delivered the proper instruction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Charles Johnson.
How you doing? Charles Johnson, 150 Raleigh. I want to start by saying my wife thanks for spending $1.5 million on bus drivers, keeping them with a job. But on a business aspect, I say it's a waste of money considering we're advertising for bus drivers. With that said, maybe we can not raise taxes for school next year. Anyways, my main point is back to the masks and kids. I did bring out handouts for you guys, just to give a quick Marty McElroy, just a recap about kids wearing masks and breathing in carbon dioxide more so than oxygen. Another one that talks about 0 COVID deaths. Another one, healthy kids aren't getting affected. The last one that I have also talks about parents had their kids' masks tested, and there's a list, 11 things they found that the kids are breathing in that is not healthy. So I'll give that to you guys. And the last thing, with the masks, just to let you know, my kid wears a mask because of peer pressure. I don't know if that's, I can use that to help show my kid what peer pressure is because he's wearing it, even though he doesn't wear it around anywhere else, but he wears it at school because all the kids wear it and the teachers enforce it to wear it. So that's in a sense bullying, peer pressure, whatever. Last thing, Gates is set up for school choice. And I know at some point we're heading down in that direction. If we can just kind of take that into consideration because of our dictator 2.0, I have a feeling because Pfizer is okaying kids getting vaccinated, that she might make that mandatory for kids going to school. So I'm giving you all homework and hope that it doesn't go that point. Thank you.
Give it to Mrs. Brown to make sure everybody goes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. There you go. Thank you.
Moving on to capital improvement update.
Good evening, distinguished Board of Education and Superintendent Daly. I am Mitch Ball, Assistant Superintendent for Business. I'm here to talk a little bit about where we're at in the planning phase of the project. At this point, we need to develop and finalize a financing proposal for the project. We will be welcoming Chuck Bastian and Chris DiCarlo from BPD Incorporated to discuss that plan momentarily. BPD is our financial advisor, fiscal advisor relating to all things capital project related. Welcome, BPD. Let me just say hello. Additionally, Brian Selinsky from our architectural firm SEI Design Group is here to review the SEEKR process, or State Environmental Quality Review Act process. I won't get into the details now about that. They'll talk about it momentarily. Welcome, BPD. SEI, Brian Selinsky. As for next steps tonight, after our November 9th meeting, in addition to hopefully finalizing the SEEKR lead agency, as Mr. Selinsky will discuss, we will review the recommended scope and budget for the project, following all the various stakeholder and community input that we've discussed at prior board meetings. From November 9th through December 7th, when the board meets next, we will entertain any final thoughts or comments from the Board of Education. And then on December 7th, hopefully we'll be able to have the board adopt a resolution that can be put out to public referendum or vote on February 2nd, 2022 regarding future capital work. That's our current schedule. So unless there's any questions right now, I'll turn it over to BPD to start talking about how we intend to finance future capital work. Any questions from the board on where we're at in the process and what the next steps are? Okay, great. So I'm going to turn it over to Chuck Bastian from BPD Incorporated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We brought two reports for you tonight to go through briefly. Try not to get into too many weeds for you. There's one with a timeline, but one with a pretty cool building on the front cover, right? That'll be the finance reports. We'll go through that one. And what we wanted to do, as you begin talking about a new capital project, again, how capital projects work for school districts in New York State, we want to take a quick update for you since the last time we got together with the current project's authorization from about 4.5 years ago. So if you will, turn to page 3. And there's a maturity schedule page here. And this is good update for you because, again, you may not have seen many of the numbers as we've been evolving the project. I know your project's wrapping up. A lot of the financing is wrapped up. So we want to give you a little 2020 hindsight as to how that turned out as board members. So if you will, over on the left side, column B, again, you had a down payment, you used some capital reserve money, $5 million. Column C, we're paying back our bond principal payments over the next 15 years or so. Column E, we have most of our bonds issued and locked in the final interest rates. So those are the bold interest rates you'll see there up the top, 2.35%, 1.8%, 1.5%. Pretty good for 15-year bonds, fantastic. So you add the principal and interest together, you get column F, that's your debt service. And column G is our building aid that's coming from the state. So again, that's what we want to have, the building aid. So what's left then after the building aid comes in against our principal and interest payments is column J. That's called our local share. And we wanted to put in the measuring stick on the right-hand side in terms of what was the local share we had conservatively estimated at the beginning of the project. And you'll see at the bottom right corner of that, it was about $25 million over the 15, 16 years of the project paying it back. As it turned out with all the variables, as they each became known and solidified in the financial plan, you'll see column J, it's turning out to be about $11.4 million. So an incredible amount of savings, again, not needing to come from the community, which is fantastic. Again, we always have to start off with these financial plans a little on the conservative side, and then as each of the variables become known and the project evolves, start to pin down what we think that final local share is. So again, congratulations to the board on keeping an eye on the project and everything that's accomplished. But just want to give you a quick update on that. Anybody have any questions on that page to start with? It's great news, just great news. So to start with that. Okay, if you will, turn into page 4. That starts to set the stage now. So that's the latest authorization and set of bonds that we have, and we add that in with the columns on the left, A through G, with older existing bonds. And we take a look at all of the principal interest payments going out for all of our bond payments, all of the building aid that's coming in against those. So column G is what's left again as local share. That's all existing, everything's locked up, which is nice, it's all fixed. We also have some energy performance projects that this district's done in the past, that's providing certainly energy savings for you each year. And you add those two components together, the energy projects and the regular building projects, and you get column M over on the far right side, the blue shaded column. And the far right column has the change per year. Again, that's what, as board members, you'd like to focus on is our debt local share going up? Is it staying steady? Is it dropping? These are very good numbers on the right-hand side. It is dropping. That's what you want to see as board members. We've structured bonds, you're paying off your old bonds, and it's dropping. There's a graph on page 5 that really shows that. And that's exactly what you want to see. The black line is currently what's built into your budget each year. And those blue bars is what we need. So that's dropping off over time. And what that allows you to do is, as additional needs continue to always be developed, and they're coming along at you with different roof projects and boilers and different things you need to keep track of, we can fit new projects in with the old bonds that are being retired. So looking at a graph like that, that's a great looking graph to see. Okay, page 6. As Mitch mentioned, as you're developing the next set of needs, I know you work on the building condition survey that is developed every 5 years with the architect. And we'll need to start to look at what are our variables. So page 6, again, your building aid ratio right up at the top, 80.8%. So that's very good. That's like having a coupon. You go into the store with 80% off. Those are great coupons. So I'm glad the state is helping on all of our building projects. We also have a bond percentage that's estimated, and working closely with SEI and campus to really maximize that and get that tuned up as much as we can by phasing the project. And then we have a list of dates. So as your dates start to unfold, they're like dominoes. So as the dominoes tip over, we'll line up the financial plan accordingly. And again, down toward the bottom, item 12, you've saved up some dollars for your capital reserve to really help toward that local share. So again, you have your down payment, your savings amount there. Any questions on the assumptions? You may remember a few of these from the last time on the project, but you board members, these are our variables that we have to work with. Okay, page 7. Again, on the left side, we have our capital reserve amount, and then the rest would be bonds for the total authorization, a little over $45 million. And then the right-hand side, again, how the breakdown of those dollars are allocated. So much for construction, about $23 million. Incidentals and site work, about $18.7 million. And then we also have a dollar amount set aside if we have to finance through the dorm authority, and also capitalized interest that helps bridge the 18-month gap with building aid until it starts flowing to us. Okay, page 8 is really the nuts and bolts here. So on this authorization, we have these dollars laid out. Column B is our reserve, our down payment. Column C is the payback of our bond amount. Column E, we have our interest, and therefore column F, the total of the principal and interest is the debt service, about $2.8 million a year. And then column G, we have building aid coming in of about $2.6 million per year. So we end up with a local share. Nominally, throughout most of the years, they're about $200,000 a year. We've actually been able to front load this payback a little bit to help fill into those drop-offs that you have coming up, to try to keep you as smooth as possible with that local share component for your capital expenses. And again, we know that's one of those exclusion amounts that school districts have to take into account when you do your levy cap calculation each spring for your budget with the community. So it's one of those complicated topics, but the more we can keep that consistent from one year to the next, the easier that it is. It does not change the math for the tax cap calculation. In column I, we have a little bit of offset there for that capitalized interest to help where the building aid is starting up at that point in time. Any questions on the maturity schedule? Okay, and again, we're gonna set up the financing to match how the phasing of the construction goes as campus and SEI are doing the design and beginning the construction. So page 9, we show how the green bars add into the blue existing. And the very last page 10, again, that's really what we want to see. Is there a way that we can make sure that the new green bars line up with the existing blue bars as old debt is dropping off and to keep you underneath that line that you're currently at? That's certainly the goal. So we're able to do that, again, because you've saved up that down payment, really the local share with your capital reserve. So congratulations on saving that for the last few years. And again, when you see that graph on page 10, that's a great looking graph. As you can see there, you'll have another drop off coming up in 2028, 27, 28 school year. So as any future needs develop and arise, again, that's another opportunity to fit something in if you need to. A graph like that, believe it or not, we'll talk this time of year about potholes. It's great seeing potholes like that on a graph like this. If we had speed bumps, we don't like speed bumps. So we don't like speed bumps, but we do like potholes because we can fill those in very nicely. So hopefully we don't get too many on the roads. Yes, sir.
So when you shared that we want to stay below the line, could you give us a little more context of like what bad happens if we go above the line from a financial perspective, what it means to us in the community?
Yeah, good question. So you can see right now in the legend there at the bottom, it's about $2.9 million is what's called your local share. So as we pay our gross principal interest, we get building aid in against that to help us out. And then what's left is that local share. So that's built into the levy, your overall district levy. And then that amount becomes an amount that we use in our tax cap calculation each year that the governor has, the state legislature has, that everyone calls it the 2%, but we know there's a lot more to the calculations besides just the 2%. And one of the key exclusions, besides pilot payments is one of them, but capital is another piece, that's local share. So what ends up happening is a lot of school districts, if you're able to keep that consistent from year 1 to year 2 as you're doing your budget computations, it really just helps take that one complicated aspect and take it off the table for you, because it's an in and an out. It's essentially a wash. If that's consistent from year 1 to year 2, it helps the explanation and the calculations that you're doing flow a little easier for the community to understand, all of us to understand. If that line starts to go up from 1 year to the next or go down from 1 year to the next, now it complicates your tax cap calculations. There could be situations, believe it or not, mathematically, where you could have a decreasing levy, and it could be as a result of capital planning, decreasing levy from year 1 to year 2, but you might need a supermajority to pass your vote. So that's the complications that can arise, either because of this capital exclusion or because of other factors like pilot payments, things like that. So again, if we can take any of those complicated variables and put them on an autopilot, that's ideal. I know you as board members, we all have our 3-part budget that we talk about: program, admin, capital. So if we together can take that capital piece and put it on autopilot, leave it kind of a 0% change up or down in any given year, then that's good for you as board members. You kind of take that off the table and you can focus on the other 2 aspects of the 3-part budget with your community. So that's what our challenge is, working with the administration, architects, and CMs to see if there's a way that we can do that given the needs of your capital projects into the future. So again, this current authorization that you may be considering fits very nicely, and you still have a nice drop off coming up in 5 more years. So other needs that may come along should fit in extremely nicely. It's well done by being able to have gotten to this position through the last few years.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on that?
I see none.
Okay, and just the last report again for you too. Again, just a highlight of the dates for everyone. Just pointing out 5 key dates. Tonight is step 7. Just kind of reviewing the financial report. Step 12, as Mitch mentioned, on December 7th. The board has some resolutions front of them. Step 16, then we have a few legal publications to go in the paper. Step 21 would then be a voter referendum in February of 22. And then step 26 would be adopting of a bond resolution afterwards. So again, just to highlight a few of the key steps for you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, I want to thank BPD Inc. for all the great work that they've done. I want to make sure that we got two key takeaways from that. Number one being that we're looking at, in order to achieve no tax increase or little tax increase from the public, but really we're aiming for no tax increase, knowing that this project won't actually start for a number of years. So there could be a very, very, very nominal increase, but we're aiming for no tax increase. I'm looking at a $45 million capital project would be the amount of the authorization that we'd be looking to achieve in order to accomplish that. At this time, I'd like to introduce Brian Solinsky from SEI Design Group. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. I get the joy of going through the State Environmental Quality Review Act with all of you. Some of you have been through this. It is very exciting. I do have some slides we'll go through, but it is something we have to deal with on your end. Oh, good, somebody's clicking. No, that's fine. I give you the signal and you can click through. Maybe one more. The State Environmental Quality Review Act was adopted in 1975. As you can see here, there was adjustments made in 2018. What this really is at one point, people were doing work and they were so bold and sweeping in their actions that they forgot to consider the environment and those around them. So the state and the feds came in and created this act. Within the obligations that you have as a school board, this used to fall to the state education department as the lead agency. A while back, that became problematic and they said, wait a minute, we're not taking responsibility of this. The local agencies should. So what they've done is they've set up here, and basically that last line says that as part of any bond resolution, you guys have to go through this process and notify the public. So I'm going to walk you through the steps in this. Can you give me another slide, please? This is a chart. I used exactly the chart that the state uses. And really what it does is this identifies that there are three ways to go about it. We have a type 1, a type 2, and an unlisted action. In most cases, a type 2 for you folks is we're doing roofs and floors and mechanical systems. It's standard operating procedure of a school district. And within that, guys, we can call a type 2, basically say we're impacting nobody beyond what we already have. No action required. We just declare a negative declaration and we move forward. A type 1 says we're a little bit above and beyond those limitations. And the project that we're starting to develop is going to fall in this bucket. What we do is we are impacting a threshold for schools in the relation to this acreage impact. So anytime we impact more than 5 acres of land, we are going to be required to then go to the next level. The next level isn't always a type 1. It kind of could fall into this unlisted action. In consult with your attorney, we kind of went back and forth on this, and the fact that you are doing fields and there are lights and sound related to those fields, and we are impacting roughly about 15 acres on the overall. The two of us got together. We decided that we probably should go type 1, and you are therefore doing your due diligence. So our recommendation to you tonight is that we're going to go down that path. This way you can honestly say you filled out the full gamut of the form. You've looked at it. You've asked the public for comment. Okay, so we'll go to the next step here. So here's where we are, the 1, the unlisted, the type 2. We're going to follow the path up here on top. If you give me one more. What that means next is we're going to fill out a full environmental assessment form. I have done that. I've done that in consult with our site civil people and also with your attorney. The attorney is now checking through that document. We've actually solidified that. And if you decide we're going to move forward with this, we'll issue this tomorrow. So next step here. Tonight, your job is this piece of the puzzle. You are going to, as a board, you have a resolution on your docket, say, we agree, this is a type 1, we agree that we'd like to go down this path, and we put it out to the public that we would like to be lead agency. You are not declaring that yet. You are saying we would like to. In the process, by us notifying the parties, and I will do that for you on your behalf tomorrow, if we all go down this path, we're going to notify them, would you like to take lead agency? In all the years I've been doing this, nobody's ever taken lead agency because they have to do a whole bunch of due diligence. Instead, we would do that due diligence for you. You're putting that notice out to the public entities that are affected by this process. And those would be State Education Department, Churchville, Chi-Li, and Gates. Those two entities for the town board, the Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Department of Transportation. Okay, it'll also go out in public notice, so others would be identified. With that, the likelihood is nobody's going to comment and take lead agency, but they might, in these informed agencies, come back to you with questions or concerns. Okay, so that's why tonight we're going to say, yes, we would like to move forward and take lead agency. If we hear nothing in the next 30 days, at the next board meeting, you will say, yes, in fact, we do take lead agency. We will address any comments that came in, and we'll just amass those. We'll talk about those. We'll help guide you through any questions that might come up. At that point, you agree to move forward as lead agency. Another 30 days goes by, and if there's no further mitigation procedures that you need to take, you will be able to declare a negative declaration. Okay? And that would end our process here, and we get through. If something does come up and it becomes problematic, let's say somebody says that in my view shed, I don't like the lights out in the front where we're proposing this, you would have to put mitigation procedures in place to shield those lights. And if somebody really pushed that further, it could delay our process. I don't foresee that based on everything that we are proposing, and I'm going to go through a little bit of that in detail for you without getting into a whole bunch of detail, but I have to give you some detail. If Florence Brasser is part of this project, really what we're doing is there's some main office work inside the building, but the piece that kind of brings out us going to seeker is moving around traffic. I think those of you that are over there and you deal with the traffic over there and you know the parents and everybody and the neighbors, we're going to be mitigating that. And so to mitigate that, we're going to be changing some potentially in and out means where the buses are, where the cars are. So that's going to flag some of those neighbors to maybe make some comments. Okay, next slide, please. On the high school, middle school side, we're talking about relocating the district office to the high school, doing some renovations to move some of those other classrooms around within the building. The middle school, similar music wing and tech wings within the building. There's some potential expansion that might happen with those, a bump out here, a bump out there, like we've done here at the front of the building to accommodate the larger size rooms that we're now seeing with changes in the program. So that's an addition. So that always brings into play some of the secret documentation. Administrative building, converting that to a pre-K facility. So again, change of use. We want to just notify people that slight change of use, similar but slight change. And then we have within that building condition survey items, which are mechanical systems and, you know, drainage and water and lights and all kinds of other things that are on our list. But the biggie is the next one here, the athletic facility. So within the current documentation, we have a baseball and softball complex up in the front of the middle school, up near Buffalo Road. That complex would be a turf complex. Okay, so that brings about drainage issues. I know everybody thinks that we go green to green, you know, but the problem with that is, like in a rainy day like today on a lawn, the water soaks in nicely. On a turf field, it goes right through. And we need to mitigate that, and we'll contain that water on site. Your requirement is to contain it and flow it out at the same rate that we've continued to do, every single day today. So as part of that, we want to notify people we'll be handling that. The second piece of that puzzle are lights there. I think the good in that location is the fact that you're mainly facing retail properties, business properties, a pretty active roadway over there. There are some neighbors that are further down on that roadway behind the garden factory, but we want to put that out there, let people know, and then you would mitigate any issues. So that is probably the biggest piece in the acreage that we're impacted. Okay. Any questions to that point? Okay. I know it sounds daunting. We do a lot of that work for you. There is a 13-page document that will be issued out. You will get that copy tomorrow through your board packets that will come to you. That notice will also go out to the entities I mentioned. Within that, then we will have that beginning of that 30-day period. If you do this resolution tonight to move forward as going forward to act as lead agency. If that happens, again, we're sharing the same dates over and over, but it is important because if these steps don't follow and flow, it will change your vote date. So our next meeting will be the secondary review. That will be the point at which you do take lead agency, start addressing comments. And if all goes well on the 12/7 date, we will do the secret determination and declare negative declaration. Negative is good, it's positive. Similar pothole speed bump. In our case, negative is good. It means there is no impact. And then you'd be able to set that 45-day window, which then sets up the 222 vote. Okay? If there are no questions, all you have to do is take care of that resolution, which you should have a copy of in your packets.
Any additional questions? Nope.
Thank you very much.
So now finally, any general additional capital project questions before we close this segment? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Walt Disney report.
So again, good evening, everyone. So tonight's presentation is a tag team effort. So Mrs. Messino is here, Mrs. Hanning, who's our art teacher, Ms. Slaughter, who is our building librarian. And in the summer, we were working with our various groups, our school improvement team, our leadership team, and we said, we need a theme that encompasses what we're going to be doing today and throughout the year at Walt Disney. And we said, how can we say that we are inclusive to all of our families? How can we say that we are working on relationships? And how can we say that we are trying to move kids forward in their quest for academic achievement? And we raced around thousands of ideas. And then Mrs. Hanning and Ms. Slaughter appeared in our building and said, ta-da, we have a solution to your problem. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to the two of them so they can share our building theme and the solution that they presented.
So tonight, throughout our presentation, we'll be mentioning things that are on your handout. I have an updated color copy, but this is just an art teacher thing. I think the navy looks better than the violet, but that's fine. I couldn't sleep last night. I was like, I have to change it. But anyways, thank you again for listening and giving us your time tonight. Again, we have Beth Larder. I'm Kelly Hanning here at Disney. And to give you a little bit of context before we dive into our concept of belonging for the school year, is that each year we work with our team members, all the special areas, the classroom teachers, and our ESL teachers, Casey Smith and Sarah Ray Mesa. And usually we say, okay, let's pick a culture. We're gonna authentically learn about that culture, learn about that place in the world, and really with integrity, do art projects, interdisciplinary things with this culture that we're learning about. That's great. But what if this year we're learning about South America, but I'm from Liberia? Okay, cool. How many years do I have to wait till we hear about my culture at school? So we were thinking about ways to update this to be more responsive and more inclusive to everyone all the time, instead of just, okay, well, we're focusing right here this one time, right? So in order to include everyone all the time, we had to think bigger and more conceptually. So that's where we developed the theme of belonging. So we'll walk you through, that was our process of getting to this point. Now we'll walk you through why this is important and why belonging falls in line with our district's moral imperative, and moving forward with our New York State framework for CRSE. And not only that, but creating every day a positive and affirming environment for everyone. So before we get started, think about a time when you felt a strong sense of belonging. Think about that time. What kinds of feelings arise? And you can just shout out, we'll share a few of them. Other than the feeling of belonging. Yes, we all there's the easy one. So the last time you felt a really strong sense of belonging, what kind of feelings arose?
Comfort.
Comfort, great.
Love.
Love, excellent.
Joy.
Joy.
Happiness. Happiness.
Happiness, wonderful, thank you. Sorry, I'm loud, I can't hear anything. But yeah, so that's great. And these are all things that we can agree our students should be feeling every day at school. Comfort, love, happiness, joy.
Right, so yeah, that was a great way to introduce it. So this is something that kind of came out of talking as a team, but also talking to students. I had some of those conversations where I said, okay, we're learning about this culture, and someone would say, well, when are we going to learn about Europe? When are we going to learn about Africa? So kind of all of those conversations we've been having sort of bubbled over into this. So a big part of what we are trying to do with this theme is bring together many of the things that we're individually working on. So these are many of the things we're already working on in our classrooms, in our special areas, throughout the school. So just trying to bring them together under one umbrella. So big thing that we do in the library is try to boost the books that we have that celebrate different cultures, so that's something we're already doing, but now we can kind of bring it into this theme.
And when you think about equity, inclusion, and diversity, when all three are present, that's when you truly belong, right? So you need all three in order to authentically have this feeling of belonging, especially with our interdisciplinary work that we're doing in school, our cross-building work, and our K-12 district, especially in line with our moral imperative. Having all three at 100% equals students belonging. So in a lot of the beginning stages of the let's include this culture or learn about this culture or this place, although sometimes teachers have good intentions, it's very, very hard to get past that surface level of, well, I celebrate Christmas. What do you celebrate? Cool. We want to get deeper into our everyday, all of our diversity, on a daily basis. So not only just what do you celebrate, but what do you do? How do you handle certain situations? Or how does your family spend football Sunday? Are you watching football or are you going and doing something else different? So culture is all about, yes, your big celebrations, but digging deeper and thinking about your attitudes towards things, what you appreciate. All students value different things, and really being receptive to hearing that and taking that as inspiration for learning in the future. We'll give you some examples of what that looks like with our library and other examples as well.
Yeah, another thing just to add on this, a lot of us can be kind of unaware of our own cultures because it's something that we've always lived in, So I think teaching students about other cultures, but also helping them to see their own culture.
So we put a couple of the artists here that I have been focusing on in the beginning of the school year. Obviously, this list is, just ask Matt Harvey, he's compiling a database for us. It's hundreds of artists long. So as a quick snapshot, we want to think about artists, that represent more than one culture. So, all over the world. Artists that B, are living and working in the world today. So, and I'm saying artists, obviously, art teacher lens, but if you're teaching social studies or science, like who's a scientist from today, living and working in the world, who has a different perspective than we're used to reading about in a textbook. So all of those things where students can say, wow, like either that person looks like me, I can do that, or wow, that I'm learning something new, you know, and everyone's ideas are valid, everybody belongs. Again, we're gonna bring everything back all the time to this common idea of belonging. So one artist is Willow Brown, and she uses music as a strong inspiration because of the music she listens to. It brings her a sense of community, which therefore elicits that sense of belonging. So we do have a multi-district, well, a little too big there, shoot for the stars. A multi-building belonging project that we're gonna be doing. The theme is we all belong at the table. More to come on that, and Eugene is, you know, helping us stir that magical pot too. So, but this is just one artist that is alive, working in the world today, in New York State, even, you know, local Rochester artists and people working with wall therapy. You've probably seen their things around, but just including more community-based, more current exemplars is important in creating that sense of belonging cross-curricularly for all students.
Yeah, so on the library side, a big part of what we're doing is just trying to increase the books that we have in our library that both represent our students and also open them up to different cultures that they might not be aware of. So not only just having them physically in the library, but also presenting it to them through read-alouds, giving them to their teachers, getting their teachers to talk about them, just getting them used to the idea that you can read about people who are different from you, but also that you might be able to find something that connects to your lived experience. So we have some really amazing books that like celebrate different kinds of hairstyles. We have books that are multilingual, so kind of giving students the chance not just to see themselves, because that's important, but also building up that empathy by seeing how other people have different values, how other people live differently, but there's so much that we still have in common.
So this is another example of a couple of artists here. If I had all day, I could just tell you all about these really cool artists, but just leaving this on a note that we are including artists across the spectrum of culture, mediums, and again, I say artists, but when you hear artists, just like imagine every other teacher also. I can't get the art part out of my head. So we're including all these people that are great examples of whatever field you're teaching that reflect the students in front of us and then create that bigger sense of belonging. And from there, again, you have that immediate sense of higher engagement and more of the, oh, I can see what's in it for me now from your students as well. So to close, we have our 4 standards here, and creating a welcoming and affirming environment. Affirming, you walk into a space, I belong here, right? Goal number 1. Number 2, the high expectations and rigorous instruction. We all belong in this room together doing this project. We all belong in this learning space because we are all scholars. Identifying inclusive curriculum and assessment. So what we've been talking about, using inclusive instructional materials and methods, and especially assessment. If you're thinking about Dr. Howard Gardner's 8 or multiple intelligences, what way can I best assess you based on your strengths? And finally, engage in ongoing professional development, which is what our district has been doing and is going to continue to do. And thinking about that relationship between all of these standards and how it culminates to the sense of belonging within our Gates Childlike community. Thanks for your time. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great job.
So I think that helps you understand what Walt Disney is about and the bigger picture in Gates Childlike. And again, it was like, because it just went together with everything that we're doing. And these 2 ladies, along with several other people, have spearheaded a great community in our building, and it's not just about Mrs. Messino and I, it's about the bigger picture of our teaching community, our families, our parents, and our students. So we're very appreciative. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Moving on to finance and facility update.
Hello again. So the Finance Facility Audit Committee was held last night. We talked about the internal audit, noting that our new internal auditors, Freed Maxick, have begun to collect data and review our district's policies and procedures so that they can determine a focus area in the next couple of months. Additionally, on the finance side, we talked about state reporting, noting that Mrs. Sanford, our treasurer, has done a great job in completing the annual state reporting after fiscal year closes. Thank you, Mrs. Sanford. We talked about the American Recovery Plan, noting that our plan is on track for submission by the end of this month. We talked a little bit about the details surrounding that plan. Mrs. Sanford talked about a updated treasurer's report. The updated treasurer's report, the format of it is on the agenda for tonight. The September treasurer's report is in the new format. It's a one-pager versus a 4-page document to help streamline the process and share data at more of a macro level. We talked about the budget planning and where we're at with the 2022-2023 budget planning process. We've already begun that. Buildings are starting to do their budgeting process now so that they can turn budgets in mid-December, so that by January, the business office can finalize some of those things in collaboration with others. We talked about SRO support, noting that we are currently down 4 security staff members as a result of not being able to find qualified individuals through the civil service process. Right now, there's no civil service established list for security workers. So we're down 4 staff members and we need some support in that area. So we engaged in a conversation with the Gates Police Department, Chief Van Bretero and Lieutenant Long have been helping us in that process. We will be looking at bringing on a full-time SRO starting next week to help us in the interim until civil service provides us with a list that we can hire off of. So again, I'm looking for some additional support from Gates PD, and they have been a wonderful collaborator in the process. We talked about the estimated minimum wage impact. About a month ago, our governor, Governor Hochul, announced that minimum wage would be increasing from $12.50 to $13.20. We did not plan for this because in the past we've had approximately a year to plan from a budgeting perspective for minimum wage increases. We do know that this is going to be a challenge for us because starting in January, minimum wage is going to go up by 70 cents. In addition to that, we're going to have some compression issues that we're going to need to address, and with labor shortages region-wide and increasing salaries for minimum wage workers, we do know that we're going to need to adjust that moving into the future. So we talked a little bit about that and what our potential next steps are. From a facilities perspective, we talked about the 2022 capital project, the one that was just reported on. We talked about some inquiries regarding the music department and some of the new features of the auditorium and the band and choral rooms. We talked in some detail about that. We talked about the GC Performing Arts Center and the meetings that we're having internally to figure out how we're rolling that out, both in terms of staff and responsibilities and the systems that are in the new GC Performing Arts Center that is currently slated to open in February of 2022, although if there are more construction delays due to labor and material shortages, it may not open up until further down the road. So we're talking a little bit about that. We talked about a position called the Theatrical Technical Manager, which is a civil service title. The district intends on hiring a staff member to manage the new Performing Arts Center. This is something that we discussed at the committee meeting. We talked about a regional route study, knowing that we're short on drivers currently across the region. We talked about collaborating with other Monroe County school districts to figure out some ways that maybe we can share transportation services to charter, non-public, parochial type schools. So we're starting that process. We talked about the electric buses, noting that we are in the final stages of getting approval from NYSERDA for a grant to purchase 2 electric buses at the same price that, or a little less actually, than we pay for our diesel buses. We talked about where we're at in that process. And then we also did a tour of the renovated basement in the administrative building. That building was flooded a number of months ago. And so the entire basement was renovated essentially at the cost of our deductible for a flood that occurred in that area. And then we ended the meeting. Any questions regarding the Finance Facility and Audit Committee? It was a very full schedule last night.
Questions? We have none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to ad hoc update. Dr. Richards?
So the ad hoc committee is looking at, actually made a decision on our next book study. And once we finish our current book study of Switch, we will move on to our next one. I'm not sure if you want to say what. Which will be the title, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibrahim Kendi.
That's it? Questions, comments? All right, thank you very much. Moving on, Education Foundation update.
The Education Foundation met and talked about their upcoming fundraising ideas for the year to be able to continue supporting grants for students and teachers throughout the district. They're in the process of working with the Harlem Wizards for
March, first weekend of March.
First weekend in March. So they're in the process of getting everything all set up for that, which we did 2 years ago now. 2 years ago now. It was a great time. We had a lot of families come. So they're really looking forward to doing that. That took the majority of our meeting. They talked about some other possible fundraiser ideas they'd like to do throughout the year as well. So.
Okay, questions, comments? All right, moving on. Motion to approve consensus agenda. Motion, please. Ms. Kais, Ms. Coffey, questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion to approve consensus items C through J. Motion, please. Dr. Richards. Who are you, Ms. Nicole, Ms. Lilwood? Yeah, that's you. Thank you very much. Questions or comments? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. The significance of my browsing, it was your first motion, I believe.
Oh, it isn't actually.
Okay. I stand corrected. I take it all back. Moving on to superintendent resignations, appointments, and leaves? No?
We should be on action. Number 7.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Excellent. Got it. All right. Excellent. Motion to approve the attached Sikora lead agency resolution. Motion, please. Ms. Unsing and Mr. Long. Questions or comments? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. Thank you very much. Moving on to superintendent comments.
I want to start off by thanking Mrs. D'Amelio and Mrs. Musino for hosting tonight.
It's neat coming through the new entrance and to see how great this building has come out. It's really encouraging to see the water flowing away from the building due to the new construction versus towards it. So it's good to see that's working. We're announcing our Spartan Way coat drive has started. It's a chance for our Gates Charlie families to show their Spartan spirit and donate new or gently used coats, hats, gloves, mittens. We'll be collecting between now and November 9th at the admin building, transportation building, high school, middle school, all our elementaries, as well as the Gates YMCA on Elk Grove and the Charlie Public Library. All items collected will be distributed for families to be able to pick from and pick up for free at our Fall Family Fest on November 10th. We recently received awards from NISBRA, where we won in 2 categories. As a district, we won the award for Award of Excellence for a Bit of Budget video series strategic campaign by Mrs. Petrosino and Dr. Ball. We got an Award of Honor for our district newsletter budget issue with our budget and bond newsletter done by Mrs. Petrosino, Mrs. Reddick, and Mrs. Constantine. So again, being recognized for our communication is a great thing. And again, Eva's done a great job leading that, and Dr. Ball for putting himself out there to help break down what a budget is. Many business officials are now trying to become the next Dr. Ball in other districts. We know there's only one. Very excited to announce that our Neil Armstrong principal search as it moves forward. After an initial round of interviews with 2 committees, we're excited to announce 3 finalists for the position. The community will have an opportunity to meet all 3 candidates during their day in the district next week. Our finalists on Monday, November 1st, Dr. David Russell, an assistant principal from Cosgrove Middle School, Spencerport Central District. On Tuesday, November 2nd, Rebecca Scott, assistant principal at Florence Brasser Elementary in Gates, Chi-Lite District, will be in the building. And on Wednesday, November 3rd, Dr. Michael Malloy, assistant principal at 12 Corners Middle School from Brighton Central School District, will be here. During their day in the district, each candidate will be interviewed by and make a presentation to our administrative cabinet. Then each candidate will visit some of our Neil Armstrong classrooms and meet the kids. And at the end of the school day, we'll be hosting a faculty, staff meet and greet. And then after that, we are going to be hosting a family meet and greet. So the community will be able to come out, more information coming out from 4:45 to 5:15 each day to meet each of the 3 candidates if they choose. And then we'll be asking them for feedback through a survey on each of the candidates to help us make our final decision who will be the next great leader of Neil Armstrong. We have 3 outstanding candidates that each bring significant strength that can help our district get better and help our buildings get better. So we're excited to see how the process plays out with the goal of having someone start right about the holidays with a successful candidate. Last week, we got a tremendous honor for the district for the tremendous work we've been doing over the last couple of years. Top Workplaces USA recognized us as the number 5 employer in the country with 599 employees for our diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. This says a ton about the efforts our human resource department has been making over the last few years to diversify our staff as well as include all parties. So it's a big feather in our district's cap to be ranked nationally for the great work we're doing together to make our district better. For the second report back to the board, as far as testing, we've had 0 students test positive that are being tested by us required each week, as well as 0 of our staff that are required to be tested each week. 0 have tested positive thus far. PCR machines. We're unique amongst the districts that were offered it in the fact that there are 2 sites within our district, primarily being the one at the Fleet Center down the road, that are offering free PCR tests from 9 to 12, Monday through Friday every day by appointment for our families. And with our nurses already overloaded with testing our staff and students with the binary test, we chose to stick with having families having access to the Fleet Center as well as they're opening 2 more sites with the county health department right by us, which will allow our families to be able to get access if they can't get into their doctors, if they need PCR tests to return. Common question that keeps coming up is, and a couple community members asked it in replying back to our Friday message that went out is, when am I going to get rid of masks in school? And the answer is very simple. The governor and health department have mandated it for all public schools. When the governor takes away the mandate, we can then consider doing that. But until then, we are required in all public schools to be masked, both students and adults. Fall Family Fest again will be on November 10th from 5:30 to 7:30 in our high school gymnasium. It's a great event where we pull in agencies from all around our district to be able to showcase to our families things that they can be doing as a family within our borders. And it's also the night that we give away all our coats, hats, and mittens that have been collected, which is huge for a lot of our families to have access to these free things going into the winter is a huge benefit. This week, we're celebrating Red Ribbon Week in all our schools. It's neat to see that there were things. Today was dress like a twin and seeing kids trying to figure out how to dress exactly like their friend. There were some interesting choices in some of the buildings, but it's great to see our kids celebrating being chemically free. Fall athletics are wrapping up with sectionals right now, and we had a great fall with all our athletes. It was great to see us competing from a modified up to our varsity. And as postseason honors start to come in, we'll be updating the board with those. One that I did learn of from Dr. Irving is an all-county recognition for first team honors for a certain Abby Hinchey-Unson in girls soccer, which is a huge honor. But again, those will start coming in and we'll share with the board as we celebrate our great fall athletes. And last, school board appreciation. Last week, you guys get lucky and get 2 weeks because we didn't have a board meeting last week. So for Board Recognition Week, on behalf of the district, I want to recognize our school board members for School Board Appreciation Week. I hope you will join me in giving thanks to the 9 people who lead and support our school district on behalf of our community. I'm certain that being a school board member entails more than any of these individuals bargained for when they initially got the idea to run for the board. What they have given us through the years is strong leadership through challenges and celebrations, clarity through debate and decision-making, and a sustained vision of excellence for our district. All these qualities are essential for educational organizations to be successful. To top it all off, I think it is easy to see that they actually enjoy working together. It's also clear that they enjoy simply spending time together in schools and making a difference. Their leadership and grounded decision-making with student success always their focus is a major contributing factor to what has made the Gates-Charlie Central School District a great place to work, learn, and grow. They are able to navigate their differences, pick up on each other's perspectives, and ultimately arrive at the best possible outcome for all our students and our school district. I want to thank each of you for your leadership, commitment to our students and our community, and your support of our mission and vision. Thank you all for modeling the Spartan way. Our district is better because we have each of you on our team. And on behalf of the administration, faculty, and staff, thank you for your service. You'll get, as Mr. Potesky was asking about earlier, a 30% raise on your $0 salary. That's the least we can do. But thank you for all that you do. We truly appreciate it. That is my report, sir.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Daly. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Ms. Littlewood, would you like to lead that call? Okay, Dr. Richards and Ms. Kais, all in favor? Vote is unanimous. We are adjourned.